Porsche 911 versus BMW M3 Coupe has always been a compelling contest. Throughout its lifetime, the M3 has generally been more powerful than the 911, but as a derivative of the 3 Series, it's also been much cheaper. The latest generation, now called the M4 of course, is no exception. With 425 brake horsepower, it outguns the entry-level Carrera by 75 brake horsepower. At £56,650, it's almost £17,000 less than the Porsche. Here though, we're only interested in lap times. Does the 911 get monstered by the more powerful M4, or does the Porsche's bespoke sports car chassis overcome the power deficit? The circuit is Anglesey, surely Britain's most picturesque track, and the driver is Marino Franchitti. Marino is a professional racing driver and winner of this year's 12 Hours of Sebring. That's him putting a couple of dents in the roof of his Riley Ford Daytona prototype in celebration. Our benchmark time for Anglesey is 1 minute 14.2 seconds, a time set by the Ferrari 458 Speciale. We're not expecting to trouble that time on this occasion, but we'll see just how close the 911 and M4 can get. With the BMW on the left and the Porsche on the right, we're across the line and the clock is running. There's nothing to split the two through the first left-hander, but as we approach the banked hairpin, we can see the 911 gets into the apex much better than the M4, which pushes into understeer. By the exit of the corner, the 911 is a few metres ahead. Into the ballsy 100 mph right-hander at Church, the 911 once again gets tighter into the apex than the M4, which pushes on a little into understeer. The 911 pulls out another car length. Now we're into the fastest point of the circuit, the flat right-hand kink. The M4 puts its power advantage to good use, and by the entry to Rocket, the M4 has trimmed the 911's lead just a little. Both cars get into the apex cleanly, but Marino has to correct a small amount of oversteer in the M4 as he gets on the power. Into the tight right-hander that follows, both cars understeer a little, but Marino can get on the power earlier in the Porsche, and it starts to pull away again. Both cars get out of shape at the off-camber right-hander peel, but the 911 gets back in line as the M4 continues to slide. As we head into the corkscrew, we can see just how much of an advantage the 911 pulled out in the tight, technical section at the top of the hill. Through the final left-hander, the 911 holds on to its lead as the M4 oversteers once again. The Porsche crosses the line in 1 minute 17.8 seconds, with the BMW 1.4 seconds behind, setting a time of 1 minute 19.2 seconds.
The 911, I was surprised how easy it was to get the lap time from the car. You look at a bog standard Carrera and you expect that it's not going to be at home on the circuit, but straight away it was fantastic, really easy to get the lap time out of it. Felt really comfortable, easy to repeat the laps as well. And I would say that the thing that impressed me the most with it is the traction that the car has. Just dynamically in the corners, did everything I wanted it to do, and then when I got on the power, it just launched really well. So nice to have that, and it also meant that the rear tyres weren't overheating as the run went on. So as I said, it was easy to repeat the time over and over again. The Porsche was 1.4 seconds a lap quicker than the BMW. And although it's down on power, I think it gained that through the traction, and also that lack of power meant that you could accelerate out of corners cleaner anyway. But just the weight distribution, the classic Porsche weight distribution, engine over the rear axle, just gives it great traction, and that felt to me, being on the track, where the difference was made. The drivetrains of both cars, the engines, they have obviously their positives and their negatives. The Porsche has really nice torque, pulls very well from low down, and because of the weight distribution again, it has good traction. The gear shift in this car, being a standard car, it's got the PDK in it, it just is not as crisp on the upshifts. The BMW's gearbox is fantastic, really crisp up and down. The Porsche downshifts are absolutely fine, but upshifts it's just a little bit lazy. But the engine on the BMW is so responsive. You almost want a longer throttle pedal because every little movement transfers to the rear of the car. So if you're on the edge and you just increase the throttle by a couple of millimeters, the car can lose traction. And I would say to jump in the car and get a lap time out of it, that makes it quite difficult. But as I got more and more in tune with the car, I started to be able to control that more. And I think off the circuit and road driving, that's really what you want, is that responsiveness. But just both engine and gearbox in the BMW were really impressive. Getting the lap time out of the BMW, it wasn't that difficult, but the rear end of the car limited the speed that it would go. So a couple of things, I think the rear tires overheat quite quickly because it's so responsive on the throttle. It's really easy to break traction, and once you've gone down that road, the surface overheats and you get less and less grip. But it's so agile as a car, and also the engine and the gearbox are very responsive. So it's a little bit difficult to exploit it to the maximum straight away, but I found myself becoming more and more comfortable with how reactive the throttle was every lap that I did in the car. And I think it's one of those, if I revisited it, I would probably go a little bit quicker. But by the time you're comfortable with the car, you know, on track with the road tyres on it, you've overheated the rear tyres. And that makes it difficult when you're just going out and doing sort of 4 or 5 laps just to put a lap time in. But it's one of those things where it almost feels like a racing car, how responsive the engine and the gearbox are together.
So the Porsche 911 comes out on top. We'll add to our Anglesey leaderboard over the coming months, but for now, the 911 and M4 slot in beneath the mighty Speciale. Remember to come back each Wednesday for more track battle videos.